our latest installment of the Subway series where we interview newsmakers right here in the Capitol subway. This time we caught up with a former budget director, current Senator Rob Portman. Senator Portman, thank you for...
Down, you stand
yeah,
up
yes, have a seat. Thank you for joining us on the Subway series.
Of course. Good to be here.
This is our own studio right here. So, wow, the budget's out. You've got to be having flashbacks. I mean, you were obviously President Bush's budget chairman. You know what it's like to put one of these things together.
Yeah, it's tough.
Budget director.
It's the entire federal government all in one package. And I told you earlier, I feel a certain sympathy for Jack Lew, who's the current budget director, because you're going to get attacked from all sides. But having said that, I'm really disappointed in the product, and I think it shows a lack of leadership at a time when it's sorely needed.
But you were there as the budget situation was beginning to spiral out of control in the Bush administration.
Well, I left in 2007, and the year I left, which was fiscal year 2007, the budget deficit was $161 billion, which seemed like a lot at the time.
Yeah.
But that's, about...
If only.
12% of today's budget deficit. So, it was better times. One of my concerns about the budget that was presented yesterday was that it not only doesn't take the tough decisions, and you did this well with your pennies in your video, showing that we aren't making the tough decisions on the major parts of the budget, but it also doesn't have pro-growth elements, even some that the president has said in the past he might support. So there's nothing on tax reform, nothing on regulatory reform, nothing to try to get the economy moving, which generates more jobs and more income.
Now, the point of using the pennies was to show that unless you're going to cut defense or entitlements, there's absolutely no way you're going to get to a balanced budget. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. Yeah, I mean, the president himself has said, we're dealing here with 12% of the budget, and then he has said, and all I'm going to do there is freeze it. Again, at these relatively high levels. Since 2008, we've increased that spending 24%. And it doesn't include the stimulus, it doesn't include the so-called supplemental spending bill, but just the annual spending locked in is up 24%, and we've locked that in at these higher levels. And people have said, well, the president's making tough decisions. He is making some tough decisions, but only because he's increasing spending in some areas.
Okay, but are we going to see from the Republican leadership in the Congress a serious effort to cut back entitlement spending, to cut back defense? Because so far we really haven't. I mean, there's been nothing out of the individual Republicans, backbenchers, but not out of the leadership.
Well, what you've seen is with regard to the continuing resolution, which is for this year's budget, so not as to the president's budget in the next 10 years, but you've seen the House Republicans take on some very tough spending
cuts. But again, they don't even touch entitlements there at all.
No, it's not about entitlements. Right. It's the annual discretionary spending, and that's
what's 12%.
Yeah, that's what's sort of up. It's probably a little more than 12% because they are, as you know, making some reductions in the defense budget relative to the president's budget and relative to 2010. But most of it, you're right, is in the discretionary area. So you'll see that battle be engaged here pretty quickly over the next couple of weeks, and you'll see Republicans taking some heat for taking some tough decisions. And
on entitlements, you think we're going to see?
Well, no, I'm talking about on the other spending.
Okay, let's talk politics. Pretty good time here right now for Republicans. You've got the big majority in the House. You've made some gains here in the Senate.
Yeah, still not a majority though. People
still not a majority.
Sometimes don't realize that it takes 60 votes. Seems like to get anything done in the Senate.
You're a long way from that. But what worries you about the party's direction right now, if anything? I mean, it's again, the Republican Party seems to have some momentum, but you see any danger signs out there?
Well, I think as always, it's arrogance and power. We've got to be sure that we stick to our principles and that we continue to do what we told people we would. In the November election, we focused on two things. One was jobs and the economy, again, pro-growth strategies to get the economy back on track. In my state of Ohio, we've got almost double-digit unemployment, and it stayed stubbornly high. Even as the economy has started to pick up, the jobs aren't coming back. And second is to get control of this out-of-control debt and deficit before it ruins the economic future for our kids and grandkids. If we focus on those two things and make progress, I think the future of the party is going to be in good shape. If we don't, or if we overreach, then the American people will make a different decision, as they did between 2008 and 2010.
Okay, so the president won Ohio, obviously.
He won by about 5 points.
Okay, is he going to win again?
Yet to be seen. I mean, I suppose as a Republican, I should be saying absolutely not. You know, we're gonna beat him in Ohio and stop his reelection.
I mean, it may all come down to Ohio, right?
It may.
It's,
you know, the road to the White House tends to go through Ohio. That's certainly been true in modern times.
Okay, strong field. Give me three. Give me three you like out there.
Well, I think there's about 5 or 6 who are really strong. Governor Pawlenty was in Ohio with me 2 weeks ago. Did a terrific job. He's got a great record in Minnesota to talk about a blue state. Mitch Daniels is coming in to Ohio next week. I'll be with him. Mitt Romney's got a great resume in terms of dealing with the economic challenges we face. He understands the economic issues.
Even with
He's
the
had a
healthcare
success
issue?
in business. Well, the healthcare issue may be a problem for him, but you know, the number one issue in Ohio and around the country is the economy and jobs. Newt Gingrich is full of ideas. You know, he's brimming with interesting policy ideas, and that's good. He's in the mix. I hope he'll stay in the mix. Haley Barbour, I think, is going to run. Also, has got an enviable record of bringing people together in Mississippi and also in his time here in Washington. John Thune, my colleague here in the Senate, he may or may not run, but I hope that John Thune will run because he provides leadership, and he's a guy who, you know, beat Tom Daschle, you may remember, who was considered unbeatable when he was majority leader and has gone on to have a good career here in the Senate, distinguished career. So there's some interesting possibilities out there, and any one of them could win, but you know, there needs to be a screening process to sort of figure out who is the front runner, and then we need to be sure that, again, the right policies are articulated. President Obama is a talented and articulate politician.
He'll be a tough candidate.
Yeah.
Senator Portman, thanks for joining us in the Subway Series
with me. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Senator Rob Portman of Ohio.
He knows a lot about the budget, indeed. Check out This Week on Sunday. Christiane Amanpour sits down exclusively with Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. A lot on her plate these days. Twitter.com/Rick Klein, Twitter.com